You know that one person that you have in your life that is so toxic, but you always go back to them? I have that, but in friend version. I have been friends with this girl since we were 14, 15 years old, and we were always just inseparable. Then we started hanging out with this other girl, and you always know that a trio never works out. For some reason, we couldn't communicate, and if she ever wanted to hang out with the other friend and not me, she would block me on all social media and lie to me about something, say that she had something with her family, and not tell me the truth, and vice versa for the other girl. I always found out the truth, and we stopped being friends, and then months later, weeks later, years later, sometimes, we'd come back, and we'd always be best friends again. Years later, we're on good terms, we're ended up hanging out, and she comes over, she steals my charger, and lies about it when I confront her. And integrity is such a huge thing for me, so I was like, you know what, this is the final straw, and I'm absolutely done with you. Then she gets really sick and almost dies, and I'm like, why did I just end our great friendship over a freaking charger? We are best friends again, but for 2 months. Her birthday comes around, and for her birthday party, I had worked a 10-hour shift right before, didn't eat anything, so I went and got Olive Garden for her and me before the party. I didn't finish my Olive Garden, so we're partying, and she comes and takes my vape. Her parents are there, and they pulled me aside, and they start getting mad at me. They're like, I can't believe you're letting her hit your vape, she almost just died, and you're literally just feeding her poison. As the night goes on, we're play fighting, and she punches me. And I'm like, holy crap, dude, like, I thought we were kidding. And she punches me again. So I'm already kind of in, like, a mood, you know? It's just, the night's kind of just being weird, and she is just ignoring me. I ended up sleeping over, and in the middle of the night, she came in, took my vape, and she took the blanket that I was using, so I froze to death, and she gave it to her other friend. The next morning, I'm so hungover, and all I want is my Olive Garden, but the only people who were awake were me and her boyfriend. I go to the fridge, and my Olive Garden is gone. My Olive Garden container is right on top of the garbage can, so someone had just eaten it. Everyone starts to wake up, and I'm asking, like, who ate my Olive Garden? Like, I don't care. I guess I do. I wish that you wouldn't have done that, but, like, really, like, just tell me who it was. I'm asking my friend, I'm like, did your boyfriend eat my Olive Garden? She's like, no, like, lying straight to my face. I'm like, I'm not mad. I just want to know the truth. Like, don't lie to me. She lies straight to my face, and she picks her boyfriend's side over me. It's not about the charger. It's not about the freaking Olive Garden. It's just the fact that she kept lying to me. And also, I'm not saying that she's the only bad person in this, like, whole story. Like, so I'm not saying, like, she's the only toxic one. She liked my Instagram picture the other day, so she's trying to come back into my life, but I'm not letting it happen.
Be careful if you're ever considering giving a questionable person the benefit of the doubt, because I did it when I was in high school, and that weird girl drove me nuts. This girl was already known to be a little bit weird because she was a little bit of a loner and she was like quiet, but I didn't care because I was super excited about being in high school and I wanted a fresh start, and I'm also an extrovert, so I wanted to be friends with everybody. She was in a few of my classes and I established like a big group of friends really quickly, and I was like, come on, join us, the more the merrier. And immediately she clung on to me because we hung out with each other a lot and we confided in each other often, and I didn't think that she was that weird introverted girl that everyone kept saying she was. And it wasn't until she started telling me about the boys she had crushes on that I realized she was extremely insecure. For reference, I pretty much look the same as I did in high school over a decade ago, just more baby fat and less eyebrow. Kind of like this, but let's go with this instead. Nothing special, right? She too was pretty cute herself. Like, she knew how to do her makeup and she took care of herself. Remember, I had a lot of friends and I knew a lot of people, and one of the guys that she had a crush on in the very beginning had a mutual friend of mine. So I was hanging out with that mutual friend once, and I met her crush before she got to because she was just admiring him from afar. Like, nothing ever happened. I was just talking to that mutual friend, and that guy just happened to be there, and he introduced us to each other, and we were just like, hey, my name's so and so, blah blah blah. Well, that girl saw us talking and immediately freaked out and was like, oh my god, you were talking to him. And I was like, not really, I just know him through my friend. And I was like, but if you want, I could introduce you to him. And she was like, no, it's okay, like, I don't know how to talk to boys, like, you're way better at it than I am. Not really, I just had a lot of guy friends, and it's not because I have more guy friends than girlfriends, it's because I had a lot of friends in general, and it was an even amount of guys and girls. And from then on, if I even made eye contact with her crush, she would literally be like, oh my god, you guys would be like so cute together, like, you guys are like flirting, even though we would literally just like see each other in the hall, and he'd be like, sup, and I'd be like, sup, and she'd be like, oh my god, like, you're flirting so much. At first I thought it was just a joke, and I just kept laughing it off, but then it happened with every single guy that she had a crush on, and I happened to know. There was this guy that she had a crush on in our class who sat next to me, and he did pretty poorly on a test, and he saw that I did well, so he was asking me tips on how he can do better next time, and literally was like, what did you get for this answer, and like, why did you think of it this way, blah blah blah, and I was just explaining it to him. And after class, she was so mad to the point that she was literally crying and make a scene, and like literally screaming that I was flirting with every single guy that she had a crush on. But whatever, I calmed her down, she apologized for overreacting, and then the next day she gave me a gift to like solidify our friendship. And in that same week, the guy that I at the time had a crush on and she knew about randomly came up to talk to me while I was with her, and while we were making good conversation, she interrupts and was like, oh my god, be careful with her, like, she literally flirts with everybody, like, don't get your feelings hurt. And it was so embarrassing. I was just standing there like, She's kidding, huh? And she's like, no, you're not. Like, you're literally so good with guys. So obviously my chance is blown, and it gets even worse because I find out that she was telling lies about me to my own friends that I literally can't fit, so I need to do in a part 2. This is part 2 of the time I took a chance and befriended that one weird girl in school, brought her into my group of friends only for her to accuse me of flirting with every single guy that she had a crush on and talk about me to my own friends. Oh, there was even this guy she had a crush on who was in a different class than me, so I didn't even know what he looked like. And one time I was sitting on a packed bus next to this guy, not even talking to him, not acknowledging him or anything. I was just listening to music, and she gets on the bus, so I waved her over to come over and stuff, and she starts ignoring me and starts giving me like attitude. She got off the bus, I asked her what's up, and she's like, oh my god, that's him. Why are you sitting next to him? You always do this to me. And I was like, who? And she's like, the guy that I like. And I'm like, that's him? I don't even know him. And she's like, you know everybody. So at this point, I'm at a loss. I don't know what to do with her anymore, and she continues this behavior anyway. And one day I was hanging out with my group of friends while she wasn't there, and they all finally told me that she had been talking shit about me this entire time, telling them that I was a slut, I was such a big flirt, that you shouldn't trust me around your boyfriends because I'm always flirting with everybody. And my friends were like, that doesn't sound like her. That sounds very out of character. But they told me to cut her off anyway because they wanted to cut her off, but they felt bad because they thought I really liked her. And I felt bad because she didn't really have a group of friends to begin with if it weren't for my friends. So I was like, you know what, guys, it's fine. Just leave it. She's just insecure. Who doesn't get insecure, right? Wrong. She hits the fan when we take this test in class, and I do really well and she almost fails. And what happens next will go down to be one of the most embarrassing things to ever happen to me in high school. She literally has a full-on meltdown over my grade. Like, she literally starts crying and screaming that I'm always trying to one-up her in front of the guys that she liked over a bad grade that she got. I only got like an 80 some, and she got like a 50 some. I didn't even show her my grade. She looked at my paper herself. I knew she didn't study for this test too. I'm sitting there mortified as everyone's like staring at me, including the teacher. The teacher eventually takes her outside to deal with it privately so she doesn't continue embarrassing herself and me. And by lunchtime, she's acting like nothing even happened. Like, she comes up to me like, hey, and even like grabs my arm and like hugs me. And at this point, I couldn't do it anymore. I have a temper that I was desperately trying to suppress, and I was like, I'm gonna cut her off. I was civil about it and was like, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I need to take a break from you, but you can still hang out with whoever. I don't really care. I didn't make my friends cut her off or anything because the drama was just between the two of us, and I didn't want to get other people involved. We just didn't talk for the rest of high school, but we still had each other on social media. So fast forward a couple years after graduation, and I meet this guy at work. This guy is not my boyfriend, but mind you, we absolutely had no mutual friends when we met. But when we first started dating, and the first time I ever posted him on social media, the girl talked to me for the first time, replied to my story, and was like, hey, how do you know him? And I was like, oh, he's my boyfriend. How do you know him? And I asked my boyfriend the same thing. How do you know this girl? And my boyfriend was like, she's in the same after school program as me, but she's kind of weird because she admitted she had a crush on me, and she kept ranting about her best friend who apparently kept flirting with every single guy she had a crush on. My mouth dropped, like this was literally me, and I went to go look at our messages again, but then she blocked me on everything.
Story time of how my best friend got so weirdly obsessed with me that she even plotted to kill my boyfriend. So at the time, me and this girl, let's just call her Olivia, had only been friends for about 2 years. I mean, we really did everything together. We were with each other 24/7, and I mean, we were pretty good friends. But the only thing about our friendship is she did not like when I had other friends. I mean, she didn't have any other friends herself, but literally she would joke around about strangling my other friends because she didn't like when I gave my attention to anyone else. But honestly, I just thought of it as a joke. And then I started dating this guy, let's just name him Jacob. He was probably the sweetest guy I had ever met, and he was a real simp for me. So we started dating, and about 4 or 5 months go by, and he started getting these texts from a random number. And it would always be cringy things like leave her or you die, get away from her, and like stupid cringy threats. Then one night, me and him were just hanging out. Then he gets a text with his exact address saying he had till tonight to leave me, or he wouldn't see another day. Then we hear a knock at the door. I'm running out of time, like for part 2. Part 2 of how my best friend got so weirdly obsessed with me that she plotted to kill my boyfriend. So continuing with the story, we heard a knock at the door, and it ended up being her. And she said, oh, I'm just coming by to check on you and make sure you're okay. Mind you, we were at his house, and he looks at me like, what is she doing here? So I asked her to leave, and then she ends up getting so mad at me just because I asked her to give us alone time. So the night goes on, and then when I get home, she's in my room. At this time, my whole entire family was out of town, and I was the only one home. So I was like, oh, hey. It was literally just like a normal night, and then I go to shower, and when I get back out of the shower, she's gone. And then my boyfriend calls me, and he goes, why is Maddie here? She had like this black mask on, but she's stupid enough to not realize that we know it's her. And I mean, we're being real here. She was my best friend at the time, so of course he's not going to call the police on her. But she had a knife in her hand, and he opens the door and then calls 911, I guess. And then to sum it up, when they get there, she tells them everything that she was going to do, and then they put her in a mental hospital.